You wake up, and the same cashier smiles at you with dead eyes, scanning barcodes in mechanical rhythm, never questioning why they're trapped behind plexiglass, selling poison disguised as food to people they'll never know. The construction worker hammers nails into your dream home, sweat dripping onto wood that will shelter your family, yet he returns each night to a cramped apartment, building everyone's future but his own. We live in a world of beautiful automatons, human beings who've surrendered their inner compass to scripts written by invisible hands, performing roles they never auditioned for in a play they never chose to join. What if consciousness isn't binary? What if awareness exists on a spectrum, and most of humanity operates in a twilight state between waking and sleeping, between choosing and being chosen? The nurse administers medication she's never researched, following protocols designed by committees she'll never meet, treating symptoms of a system that profits from perpetual sickness rather than healing the root. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in superposition until observed. Perhaps human consciousness works similarly. Most people exist in a state of potential awareness until something forces them to collapse into actual thinking. The teacher recites curriculum approved by boards who've never set foot in a classroom, programming young minds with information designed to create compliant workers rather than independent thinkers. Ancient mystery schools spoke of the walking dead, not zombies, but humans who breathe, eat, reproduce, and die without ever truly awakening to their own power, their own questions, their own magnificent rebellion against predetermined paths. Watch the morning commute. Thousands of faces staring at screens, following GPS directions to jobs that slowly consume their souls, never asking who benefits from their automated existence. The grocery store clerk knows every price by heart, but has never wondered why healthy food costs more than processed chemicals, why medicine that could save lives remains locked behind profit margins. Cognitive dissonance isn't a bug in human psychology. It's a feature, carefully cultivated by systems that need people to hold contradictory beliefs without the discomfort that might spark revolution. The maintenance worker fixes the machinery that keeps civilization running, invisible to the executives whose corner offices he dusts, his expertise dismissed, his humanity reduced to a function. Jung wrote about the collective unconscious. But what if there's also a collective unconsciousness, a shared state of purposeful sleep that keeps the machinery of control running smoothly? The pharmaceutical technician fills prescriptions for diseases that didn't exist 50 years ago, treating anxiety, depression, and ADHD with chemicals that mask symptoms of a society designed to break human spirits. You pass the same homeless person every day, and neither of you makes eye contact, both trapped in roles of victim and bystander that prevent either from seeing the system that created this unnecessary suffering. Quantum entanglement suggests particles remain connected across vast distances, instantly affecting each other. What if human consciousness operates similarly, and the numbness of the masses creates a psychic weight that drags everyone towards sleep? The delivery driver brings packages filled with things people don't need, purchased with money they don't have, to fill voids created by a culture that profits from perpetual dissatisfaction. Ancient Gnostics believed the material world was a prison designed by a false god to trap divine sparks in matter. Looking around today, their metaphor seems less mystical than diagnostic. The daycare worker nurtures children who will grow up to repeat the same patterns, conditioning tomorrow's NPCs with songs about obedience and stories that end with, and they all lived happily ever after in their assigned roles. Algorithms study your behavior, predicting your choices before you make them, gradually replacing free will with calculated manipulation disguised as convenience and personalization. The bus driver follows the same route daily, transporting people to jobs that drain their life force, never questioning why everyone looks so tired, so resigned, so beautifully broken. Sacred geometry appears in nature, spirals and shells, fractals and lightning, golden ratios and flowers. Yet humans increasingly live in rectangular boxes, work in sterile offices, move through linear systems that deny their organic complexity. The security guard protects property worth more than his lifetime earnings, watching cameras that monitor people who've forgotten they're being watched. Normalized surveillance disguised as safety. Mirror neurons fire when we observe others' actions, literally programming us to copy behaviors. In a world of sleepwalkers, witnessing unconsciousness becomes a form of unconscious contagion. The fast food worker serves food that slowly kills, following health department regulations created by the same agencies that approve the chemicals causing the illnesses the food is designed to create. Frequency and vibration underlie all matter. Einstein's EMC2 reveals that everything is energy in different states. Perhaps consciousness operates on frequencies too, and most humans are tuned to stations that broadcast compliance rather than awakening. The janitor cleans offices where decisions are made that affect millions. Invisible to the power brokers whose messes he cleans, his wisdom ignored, his humanity reduced to maintenance. You scroll through social media, watching curated lives that make your reality feel insufficient, never questioning why happiness seems to exist everywhere, except in your direct experience. The bank teller processes transactions in a system designed to create debt, facilitating financial slavery with a smile, never wondering why money is created from nothing but distributed through interest and scarcity. Morphic resonance suggests that when enough members of a species learn something new, others of that species spontaneously acquire the same knowledge. What happens when the dominant learning is how to surrender personal agency? The retail worker folds clothes made by children in factories they'll never see, selling dreams of identity through consumption to people who've forgotten their authentic selves. Ancient shamans spoke of soul retrieval, the process of recovering parts of oneself lost through trauma. What trauma caused an entire civilization to collectively abandon its soul to the machinery of production and consumption? The paramedic saves lives in a system that profits from sickness, heroically treating symptoms while the causes, stress, toxicity, disconnection, continue multiplying in the very structure of modern existence. Quantum field theory suggests empty space isn't empty, but filled with infinite potential energy. Perhaps human consciousness contains similar untapped potential, suppressed by systems that need predictable, manageable citizens. The child care provider nurtures development in children who will grow up to work jobs that didn't exist when their caregivers were young, preparing them for futures no one can predict with skills no one questions. You buy organic food grown by workers exposed to pesticides, seeking health through consumption, while ignoring the suffering that makes your choices possible. Comfort, built on invisible tragedy. The therapist listens to people describe symptoms of living in an insane world, prescribing individual solutions to collective problems, treating adaptation to toxicity as mental health. Sacred texts across cultures describe humanity's fall from grace. But what if the fall isn't historical? It's happening now, one surrendered choice at a time, one accepted limitation at a time. The house cleaner maintains spaces where families gather to stare at screens instead of each other, scrubbing physical dirt while emotional and spiritual filth accumulates in hearts and minds. Neuroplasticity reveals the brain constantly rewires itself based on repeated patterns. In a world of mindless repetition, our neural pathways literally groove deeper into unconsciousness with each automatic day. The mechanic fixes machines that transport people between locations where they feel equally empty, maintaining the infrastructure of motion that disguises the absence of meaningful direction. You vote for candidates who promise change while funding the same corporate interests that created the problems they claim to solve. Democracy reduced to theater that maintains the illusion of choice. The mail carrier delivers bills, advertisements, and government notices. Messages from systems that see citizens as resources to be managed, rather than sovereign beings capable of self-governance. Gödel's incompleteness theorem proves that within any logical system, there are truths that cannot be proven within that system. Perhaps awakening requires stepping outside the logical system of normal social reality. The Uber driver navigates cities designed for cars rather than humans, facilitating a gig economy that turns people into disposable contractors in their own economic exploitation. You attend religious services where ancient wisdom is diluted into comfortable platitudes that support rather than challenge the very systems causing the suffering you pray to escape. The hotel worker changes sheets for travelers, seeking experiences that might fill the emptiness created by the very lifestyle that affords them travel, cleaning up after people running from themselves. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle states that the mere act of observation changes what's being observed. What changes when you begin truly observing your own automatic behaviors and unconscious choices? The food service worker prepares meals in restaurants where people gather to avoid cooking, eating while scrolling phones, consuming food and information simultaneously without truly digesting either. You recycle plastic, while corporations produce more plastic than your lifetime recycling could ever offset, performing individual virtue signaling, while collective destruction accelerates around you. The customer service representative apologizes for policies they didn't create to customers frustrated by systems designed to frustrate, both trapped in a scripted dance of manufactured helplessness. Dark matter comprises most of the universe, yet remains invisible to direct observation. Perhaps consciousness operates similarly. Most human awareness exists in dark states, potential that remains forever unactualized. The landscaper maintains artificial environments around buildings that disrupt natural ecosystems, creating beauty that masks ecological destruction, aesthetic order that conceals deeper chaos. You share articles about social problems while shopping on platforms that amplify the very inequalities you claim to oppose. Virtue and consumption intertwined in cognitive dissonance masterfully designed. The night shift worker maintains systems while the city sleeps, invisible labor that keeps civilization functioning. Ghost shifts performed by ghost people in the margins of collective awareness. Entrainment causes pendulum clocks placed near each other to synchronize their swings. In a world where most humans swing to the rhythm of systems rather than their own inner timing, what frequency are you synchronized to? The elder care worker tends to people whose accumulated wisdom is dismissed by a culture obsessed with youth, caring for forgotten libraries of human experience in society's institutional waiting rooms. You buy insurance against disasters while living in a disaster, spiritual, ecological, psychological, that insurance cannot cover, protecting your stuff while your soul slowly suffocates in its suburban prison. The lab technician processes tests for diseases increasingly linked to the very lifestyle modern medicine helps maintain, diagnosing symptoms of civilizational illness with tools that ignore civilizational causes. Quantum superposition suggests particles exist in multiple states simultaneously until measurement collapses them into single realities. What if human potential works similarly, and most people collapse into limited identities too early, too completely? The dog walker cares for pets, whose unconditional love reveals what's missing in human relationships. Presence, authenticity, joy in simple existence, wisdom disguised as animal innocence. You celebrate holidays created by corporations to drive consumption, performing rituals of gratitude, while participating in systems that require endless taking, sacred timing, hijacked by commercial scheduling. The social worker tries to repair individuals broken by the same systems that employ social workers, treating effects while causes multiply, heroically bailing water from a deliberately sinking ship. Field theory in physics describes invisible forces that shape visible matter. What invisible forces shape human behavior? Frequencies of fear, programming of scarcity, fields of acceptable thoughts that limit possibility. The substitute teacher fills in for absent educators in schools designed like factories, maintaining the production of compliant citizens during glitches in the programming machine. You watch documentaries about corruption while remaining embedded in the corrupt systems they expose, consuming awareness like entertainment rather than fuel for actual resistance or alternative creation. The hospice worker accompanies people in their final awakening, when proximity to death finally cuts through the fog of social performance to reveal what actually mattered all along. Consciousness might be the universe becoming aware of itself through individual perspectives. But what happens when those perspectives are mass-produced, standardized, edited by algorithms designed to maximize profit rather than awareness? The question isn't whether you're an NPC. It's whether you're ready to risk the comfortable unconsciousness that keeps you fed, housed, and safely numb to step into the terrifying, exhilarating uncertainty of authentic choice. In this moment, listening these words, you face the eternal human crossroads. Remain asleep and safe within the beautiful machinery of consensus reality, or wake up and discover what lies beyond the script, knowing you can never fully return to the dream once you've glimpsed what's real.